In March 2016, Michelle argued with her boyfriend and decided to break up, heartbroken. She packed her things and left the house, the engagement ring and the keys. After driving a little distance from the city, she stopped at a gas station and saw a truck parked behind her car, but didn't pay much attention. She continued her journey, ignoring calls from her ex-boyfriend, the pleading messages in her voicemail. Fed up with his complaints, Michelle decided to turn on the radio and listen to the news about a power outage that caused the whole city to lose electricity. At that moment, her phone rang again, and when she looked down, unexpectedly, something hit her car, causing it to flip over. She passed out. When she woke up, Michelle found herself in a cold concrete room, her leg injured, bandaged and chained to the wall. She tried to escape but it was useless. Looking around, she saw her belongings nearby. Michelle used a stick to pull the items closer and found her phone. However, there was no signal in this room. At that moment, heavy footsteps echoed, and Howard appeared, bringing food for Michelle and a handgun on his belt. Michelle quickly begged him for mercy, but Howard ignored her and continued adjusting the bag. He said he only wanted to keep her alive and handed her a pair of crutches to start learning to walk. Still frightened, Michelle insisted that her boyfriend would call the police, but Howard sneered, saying no one was looking for her and handed her the chain key before leaving. Immediately, Michelle freed herself and tried to open the door, but it was locked. Refusing to give up, Michelle used the key to sharpen one of the crutches into a makeshift stake. She then waited by the door. Howard did not return, and eventually, Michelle grew tired of waiting. She came up with a plan, set her shirt on fire and threw it into the ventilation hole, triggering the fire alarm, forcing Howard to come back. When he opened the door, Michelle lunged to attack, but Howard quickly caught her and injected her with a sedative. A while later, Michelle woke up and saw Howard bringing food. He told her she should thank him for finding her. When Michelle asked for her freedom, Howard said there was nowhere to go. He explained that something dangerous had attacked the area, possibly a nuclear strike, so they had to stay in his shelter for safety. According to him, the air outside had been contaminated, and it would take years before they could go out. However, Michelle remained skeptical and wanted to call her family. Howard insisted that everyone outside was dead. At that moment, a noise came from the shelter, and Howard hurried outside to deal with it, leaving her alone in the room again. Hours later, Michelle woke up when she heard a noise from above, like a car passing by. She discovered the door was open and immediately left the room. She found many shell casings along with supplies and discovered Emmett sitting nearby, his body covered in wounds, including a broken arm. Michelle tried to convince Emmett to cooperate and escape, but Emmett also believed the air outside had been contaminated. At that moment, Howard found them and explained that the noise Michelle heard was caused by Emmett dropping something. He then took Michelle on a tour of the shelter, where he had made extensive preparations for this situation. The shelter was fully furnished, resembling a cozy home, with plenty of entertainment and enough supplies to survive for many years. However, there was only one bathroom, located in Howard's bedroom, and he demanded that Michelle shower without closing the door because he still didn't trust her. At least the bathroom had a curtain, which shielded Michelle from being exposed. A little while later, when the electricity began to show signs of instability, Michelle said it might be due to a car passing by. However, Howard insisted that there was no one outside, then showed her a silent radio, unable to pick up any signals, proving that no one was out there. He also casually mentioned someone named Megan, but didn't explain much, other than that she was no longer with him. Tired of Michelle not believing him, Howard led her to a door at the entrance and allowed her to look through the window. Michelle saw dead pigs, and Howard explained that they had been killed due to the contaminated air. However, Michelle couldn't help but notice a truck full of blood, which made her even more suspicious. Later, Emmett told Michelle about Howard, as he had known him for a while. Howard had worked with satellites for the military before moving to this farm, where Emmett helped him build the shelter. Michelle admitted that she thought Howard was lying, but Emmett disagreed. He told her he had seen a huge explosion in the sky, the light of which scared him so much that he sought refuge in the shelter to survive, which was how he got injured in the arm. When Michelle explained that she had hit a truck earlier, she was suddenly interrupted by Howard, who announced that dinner was ready. The atmosphere at that moment was tense and awkward, causing Emmett to try to strike up a conversation with Howard, jumping from topic to topic, but only driving Howard crazy, who shouted at him to be quiet. It was then that Michelle had an idea. She began flirting with Emmett, gently touching his arm and continuing his conversation. Howard immediately became jealous and shoved Michelle against the wall, yelling at her for not respecting him. Michelle took advantage of this opportunity to grab the keychain from Howard's belt, then apologized and pretended to be obedient. At that moment, another vehicle drove by and distracted Howard, and Michelle quickly grabbed a glass bottle and struck him, then ran away. She ran to the shelter door and managed to open the first one, as she had seen Howard do it before, but struggled with the second door. A car stopped near the farm, and when Michelle saw it, she started shouting for help. A woman got out of the car and ran toward the shelter door, begging to be let in and saying she hadn't touched it. Michelle was horrified when she saw the woman's facial injuries, which confirmed Howard's story, making her feel completely disillusioned. Michelle had no choice but to go back into the shelter. Then, Howard confessed that he was the one who caused Michelle's car to flip, but it was an accident. When the attack happened, he panicked and drove too fast to get to the shelter, leading to the crash. Howard shares some of Megan's old clothes with Michelle, and while she sews up the wound from the glass bottle, he begins to open up. Megan was his daughter, but his ex-wife had taken her to Chicago, and he hadn't seen her in a long time. The conversation ended when Howard showed Michelle a picture of Megan. From then on, the three of them started living harmoniously, gradually adjusting to their new life in the shelter. They cooked together, played games, and shared stories about their lives. Michelle doodled in a magazine and revealed that she used to be a fashion designer, something she missed greatly. One day, the shelter began to shake and the lights flickered off. A loud noise rang out as helicopters flew overhead. Howard thought it was the enemy, searching for any survivors in the area, saying that with his Navy experience, he knew it wasn't an American helicopter. Suddenly, an alarm sounded because the air filtration system in the bunker was clogged. Due to her small frame, Michelle was assigned to enter the air duct to restart the system. The confined space gave her some difficulty, but she eventually reached the mechanical room and followed Howard's instructions to get the system running again. At that moment, Michelle discovered a ladder leading to a window. She climbed up and was shocked to see the word help carved on the window with a blood stain. As she climbed down, she found a pair of earrings also stained with blood. Later, when alone with Emmett, Michelle showed him the earrings and a photo of Megan, as they matched. However, Emmett revealed that it was actually Brittany, a girl who went to school with his sister and had gone missing 2 years ago. When Michelle told him about the word help carved from the inside, another photo fell out of Howard's book, showing him with Brittany, leaving them both stunned. Brittany's shirt was the same one Michelle was wearing, meaning Howard had killed her. Emmett and Michelle discussed their next steps when Howard interrupted, demanding that Michelle take a shower because she might be contaminated. In the bathroom, she noticed the shower curtain and realized it could be used to make a hazmat suit. Soon, she and Emmett formed a plan. That evening, while Howard was watching an old VHS movie, Emmett took a pair of scissors and hid them in his pocket. He then pointed out that Michelle might have been contaminated when she entered the bathroom. Howard's paranoia led him to throw away the shower curtain, but Michelle secretly retrieved it. In the following days, Michelle began constructing the hazmat suit in her room, using random items she gathered from around the bunker, such as plastic bottles for a mask. Whenever she heard Howard approaching, she hid everything under the mattress. One day, Howard asked Michelle and Emmett to retrieve a drum from the storage closet and explained that it contained a very dangerous acid. He also revealed that he had found tools in Emmett's bed and tossed them into the acid, demanding an explanation from Emmett. To salvage their plan, Emmett lied, claiming he had taken the tools to craft a weapon because he wanted Michelle to respect him as she respected Howard. Emmett also apologized, and Howard appeared to accept it but suddenly shot Emmett in the head as Michelle backed away in horror. Howard approached her and said he did it for her, explaining that if Emmett had made a weapon, he could have hurt her. Howard ordered Michelle back to her room while he dealt with the body. Michelle wrestled with her grief as she looked at Emmett's ID card. At that moment, Howard appeared, freshly cleaned, and left her some ice cream. He told her that from now on, they could be a happy family. After Howard left, Michelle found Emmett's bus ticket to university in his wallet and resolved not to give up, believing that Emmett's death would be meaningless otherwise. For the rest of the day, Michelle continued working on the hazmat suit. When she heard Howard approaching, she hurried to hide everything but accidentally left the mask out in the open. So she hid the mask inside the air duct. Howard entered to announce dinner, and a screw fell onto him. He inspected the air duct but didn't find the mask, then turned back and asked why the vent cover was loose, noticing something sticking out from under the mattress. Howard shoved Michelle aside and found the hazmat suit. Michelle took the opportunity to dash out of the room and slam the door shut. She then ran to Howard's room to grab the chemical coolant, discovering Emmett's body alongside the acid drum. When Howard appeared and tried to stop her, Michelle kicked the acid drum toward him, causing him to fall. The acid began eating through the carpet and spreading, while Michelle fled the room just before flames erupted and triggered the alarm. Michelle rushed back to her room to retrieve the hazmat suit. At that moment, Howard, with half his body burned, still pursued her relentlessly. Michelle quickly toppled a bookshelf, causing Howard to fall and giving her a chance to escape. However, the fire had blocked the main exit, forcing Michelle to crawl through the ventilation system to reach the mechanical room. Howard heard noises from above and began stabbing into the air vent, but Michelle dodged every strike. When he grabbed her ankle, Michelle kicked hard until he let go. Finally, she reached the mechanical room, put on the hazmat suit, and sealed all gaps with duct tape. Then she climbed the ladder, used the chemical coolant to break the lock, and opened the bunker door to escape. Outside, Michelle cautiously scanned her surroundings before running toward Howard's truck. As she stumbled, she accidentally tore the hazmat suit and quickly patched the tear with duct tape. At that moment, she heard a sound and looked up, noticing a flock of birds flying overhead, confirming the air was safe. Michelle removed her mask and took a deep breath, feeling immense relief at having escaped. But immediately after, another sound echoed across the sky and Michelle saw a strange spacecraft in the distance. She also noticed something moving in the barn, prompting her to hide, thinking it might be Howard. At that moment, the bunker exploded, and the blast drew the attention of the strange spacecraft circling above. The ship immediately headed toward the farm. As it approached, Michelle was stunned to realize it was an alien spacecraft. Terrified, she rushed to Howard's truck but discovered it had no keys. She switched to the other vehicle, belonging to the injured woman, but accidentally triggered the car alarm. As the alien creatures drew closer, Michelle quickly ran to hide inside the barn, where she found the woman's lifeless body on the floor. Through a hole in the wall, she peered outside and saw one of the creatures inspecting the vehicle. In desperation to escape, Michelle searched the woman's body for the car keys. When the creature was about to look inside the barn, she quickly turned off the car alarm, causing it to return to the vehicle. Michelle then snuck out of the barn and ran toward another house, but her noise drew the attention of the alien creature, prompting it to chase her. Both suddenly stopped when they heard a sound from the nearby house. The spaceship was approaching, emitting the blinding light Emmett had described. The spaceship began releasing toxic gas over the area, forcing Michelle to quickly retrieve and put on her mask just before the gas caused the house to explode. Michelle ran to hide inside the truck, but the alien creature blocked the door and ripped off her mask. As it stepped back, Michelle seized the opportunity to slam the truck door shut. Unexpectedly, the entire truck was lifted into the air by the spaceship. At that moment, Michelle spotted a lighter and a bottle of alcohol inside the vehicle. She used them along with some maps to craft a Molotov cocktail. When the truck was pulled close enough to the ship, she threw the bomb at the massive creature, causing it to explode, dropping the truck and sending the ship crashing into the field. Michelle survived thanks to the truck seat absorbing the impact. She quickly escaped using the car belonging to the woman and drove away. On the way, she accidentally hit a mailbox with the address 10 Cloverfield. A few minutes later, the car radio picked up a signal from other survivors. They mentioned gathering in Baton Rouge for safety, while another group was fighting in Houston. Determined, Michelle chose to head toward Houston, ready to face more alien creatures. Remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next videos. Thank you for watching.